I'd like to start up with the demo, and objective of this demo is to make you understand what all we are going to cover in these 40 hours and how actually you can work out along with us in order to ensure that your concept, your practical understanding, as well as your planning that you do, your architecting that you do for big data in enterprises becomes easy and with 100% hands-on. That's what is basic objective. Now, this training actually is about big data stack, which will not only include Hadoop, but it will also include various other products which are important when it comes to aligning all the enterprise services and to get benefit of all different aspects of big data. For example, we'll be going through analytical big data, which is Hadoop. We'll go through operational big data frameworks where you will have MongoDB, you will have Cassandra. Then we will also go through certain products which are very critical when it comes to locating or searching data using internal enhanced algorithms which are provided by these products, which further goes and makes your big data more relevant, right? And that is what is Solar, SOLR, and Lucene, right? So this training is combination of these four products as a whole. Now, from what all dimensions we will look on this product, that is what is also important to understand. After this training, you will be able to administrate all these products. You'll be able to set up architecture. You'll be able to integrate all these products. You will also be able to write analytics, depending on whether you are from languages background or you are from database background or you are not even from these two, because we'll be covering analytics from scratch, where we'll be using certain tools which are not only meant for people who are good in writing code, but also people who can quickly grasp and quickly understand certain keywords in order to complete their analytics, right? So we'll be helping you to look at big data from data scientist perspectives as well, where we will discuss certain algorithms which are critical, picking up certain domain, like you say a telecom domain, how actually big data is used in telecom domain, what all are the important algorithms which are applicable, right? Understanding users' requirement and then suggesting appropriate approach of adopting analytics in their big data layer, right? So this is what is brief objective of this particular training. In short, this is what is a profile that we are looking at post-training, right? At any point of time, if you have any question, you can write it on chat box. Right? We are going to start up now with a brief demo of big data. I feel that you are clear with the scope of the training, right? Detail is already there on our website. You can go through that. In case if you want me to elaborate on details more further, you can definitely ask me once we are done, right? Fine. So all set to go. I just need one prompt from you all so that we can start. Sai, Danny, Kundan, Shashank, Stefan, and Victoria. These are the people whom I say I'm meeting for first time. Few more are there, but I feel that I know them. Okay, fine. So we'll start now. First thing that you need to understand here is what actually is big data, right? How we define big data and why we are talking about so many alternatives in order to align our requirement, in order to resolve issues which may be created in enterprises because of this big data. That is what is first objective, right? Now, if you see, today all enterprise applications are integrated with each other, and all enterprises are hungry for data because they have understood more data means more analysis means more understanding of the business, or getting more insight of the business, understanding more insight of the consumer behavior of their particular product, right? And also to keep pace with competitors so that their analytics, if it is better, they'll be able to focus with the right product to the right consumer in the right part of the world, right? So data is becoming very critical today, right? So no data can be archived. Companies are trying not to archive all data and use it, in future, or separate it from their existing enterprise data centers. So they want to go near data, they want to do analytics on the data, and they want to get value from the data, right? But capacity of the systems to hold that volume of data has not increased, or pace with which data is increasing, your data centers or your enterprises may not be able to adopt the right kind of architecture with the right metrics of scaling up the system at the right point of time. So what do we need here? Another constraint can be investment. Like company will probably have a fixed budget and they will not like to go beyond that particular budget. So buying out a sophisticated hardware or sophisticated software again may hit their return on investment, that is ROI. So something needs to be done in order to ensure that we are able to take care of growing data in enterprises, because contributor of data today have increased. All mobile devices, if you see, are smart devices today. You have handheld devices. Every minute tweets are increasing, right? Every minute Facebook is getting populated with huge amount of data, right? Every minute people are going and they are buying more and more items on web, right? So there is a dimensional change in consumers' behavior. Now users of your enterprise, they are not simple users, they are sophisticated users, and they are bound to grow. Like number of users are going to grow on www, and this is not a hidden fact, right? So we need to understand that what actually is big data. When I will say that I need to adopt big data technology, right? I'll tell you one thing, there is no fixed matrix actually to say that, okay, if you have only 1 petabyte of data, you are there in big data issues. No. It depends on the current capacity of the system, and the minute quality of service starts deteriorating from the expected quality of service, you have to go and you have to do analysis, right? And one of the analysis that you will do will be to understand the dimension of data which is coming inside your system. Right? So in short, if you say, I can define big data as a collection of data set which is large enough to start creating problem in your existing enterprise. Okay, Danny, I feel I'm audible, Sai, right? Danny, I feel that you have to check your audio. Sai, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So I feel, Daniel, you have to check Danny's audio. It's fine. So we'll continue. So I was talking about big data. I told you that as soon as your enterprise starts feeling problems which may be there because of huge data, you can say that now we are facing big data trouble. We have to do something in order to ensure that we are changing the architecture or aligning the architecture properly so that issues which are related to big data can be resolved and you don't lose data, as well as you are able to cater some solution which is within your budget, right? And there comes right selection of big data technologies. Okay, so typically if you see, big data technology is of two types. One is operational big data solution, and second one is analytical big data solution. So let me help you in understanding what is meaning of these two. Now, data has two different natures, right? Or you can say data can be classified into two different types. One is static data, second is dynamic data. Now, when I say static data, it means this data is not going to change frequently. But you need this data because you have to do lots of analytics on this data depending on the use case of the appropriate domain in which you are working, right? So here, type of big data operation that you will be doing, it will be more of analysis rather than of update, insert, and deletes, right? Once data is made available in your big data architecture and you write your analytics layer, that is what is the need. Why? Because you need not manage their updates, inserts. Why we need not maintain? Because data is static, right? So in case if you feel that you are working with static data and you have to do analytics, updates are not frequent, there is a lifetime in updates, you can go and you can use analytical big data solution, and one of them is Hadoop, right? So we can say that Hadoop is an analytical big data solution which helps us to do analytics, right? And where actually Hadoop will not be useful, wherever you have random writes or updates which you have to do on your big data, right? Shashank, is that clear? Big data and classification of elements which are there in big data? Okay, if you'll prompt me, it will be fine. Great. Now comes operational big data solution. When I talk about operational big data solution, it means my need is CRUID. When I say CRUID, it means create, read, update, and this delete. These are the operations that you'll be doing, right? Create, read, update, insert, delete. It means my data is not static, it is dynamic. Changes in data property is frequent. So I need to adopt, and my data is huge, and on that I have to do all these operations, right? This actually falls under category of operational big data solution. When you are going to work with data where you will not have only analytical requirement but also updates, inserts, and delete, then probably you have to go and look for operational big data solution. And operational big data solutions are typically NoSQLs, which are in various flavors. One is MongoDB, then you have Cassandra, then you have Neo4j, then you have huge number of Amazon Dynamo. There are huge number of NoSQLs which are there in market. I'll let you know how actually you will be selecting the right NoSQL depending on your data structure, right? So typically now if I sum up my definition, big data is a challenge. You need to ensure that you are able to take best advantage of existing huge volume of data with you, right? And that is only possible if you manage your data properly within the appropriate cost. And this is the reason why we classified that we have to probably go with two different types of big data solution. One is analytical big data solution and second is operational big data solution. And then we need to go and select the right product like Hadoop, MongoDB, Cassandra and all, right? So this is what is about big data. Fine. I'll talk about this volume variety going forward. Now comes what all troubles are there which we will be facing. Since this is demo, I will be skipping some of the slides, right? And we'll come to the right slide so that message can be passed on to you. Now, the minute I move into big data challenge, that challenge will have four important properties which will be applied on your data. In other words, I need to understand big data from four different dimensions of data. One is volume, right? That is called a scale of data. So you have to do planning. You have to ask yourself, what will be my, volume requirement which my architecture has to handle in next 3 years, right? So you'll come to know on basis of capacity planning that you might have done, right? Yeah, you'll be able to access Kundan. That's fine, right? So I was talking about volume. So ask yourself a question. How long or what is the capacity of my existing architecture to handle volume of data, right? If your estimate of volume fits within your architecture's capability, fine, don't go and adopt big data. But if you find that there is a mismatch, right, and volume of data is going to increase, with fast rate, and it will be a tremendous increase in volume, you will move to petabytes of data, and probably your current architecture cannot handle it, then you have to go and you have to adopt some solution which can manage that volume of data, right, without impacting much cost, right, without impacting existing architecture, right. You have to go and you have to align that data properly, right. How we will do that? That anyhow we are going to see that, right. So one of the dimension of data which your big data technology manages for you is volume, right. They are scalable, right. Amount of data is increasing, you can go and scale it up. And please understand that scalability is automated. In case of NoSQL, it is automated. In case of Hadoop, also, it is simple, right? So you need not bother much about scaling up. And, like here, in case of RDBMS or in case of other systems which are there, horizontal, but you say, I call it as partitioning, but let me call it as scaling. Horizontal scaling is big challenge, right? In forthcoming sessions, you will understand why it is challenge. But as of now, just remember that horizontal scaling in case of RDBMS and various other systems is a challenge. That is a challenge because your data has to spread across different machines, right? And RDBMS was never designed keeping volume in mind. RDBMS was designed keeping in mind consistency of data, keeping in mind isolation, transaction management. Volume was never, one of the important criteria of designing RDBMS. So this is a challenge which your big data tools need to manage properly. Then comes variety. Now you see, variety of data which gets injected to your system is again unpredictable. Why? Because in case if you are getting integrated with X system again, you need to consume that data also. And probably that particular data variety is entirely different. So your system must be capable of managing huge variety of data, whether it is XML, it is JSON, it is objects, it is binary, it is image, it is audio, it is video, or it is any other format which is going to be created in near future. Right? That is what is variety. So other challenge which your big data tools have to manage is variety. You have to ask again a question, is my current enterprise capable of handling growing variety of data or not? If not, be ready to adopt a big data tool. Then comes velocity. Important. Why? Because velocity simply means what is the rate of injection of data, how frequently data is getting injected, right? You have to plan your velocity properly, because if you will not plan your velocity properly, you will be again in problem, right? And what will be that problem? You will be not be able to predict what amount or what should be the bandwidth which is required in order to handle it. Right? The velocity also becomes very important. Then comes fourth one, which is veracity. Meaning of veracity is very simple. What value do I need to get from the data? Right? How I will do mining and analytics in order to derive the right value of the data. Is data valuable for me? Right? So these four things are there that you have to think. First, plan the volume, plan the variety, plan the velocity, plan veracity, and then go and decide what set of tools you will be using. Is actually alignment or realignment of architecture is required? If it is required, I have to go with what combination of tools, right? So these are four challenges that typically we face in big data domains. Okay. I will not talk about opportunities, because when it comes to opportunities, we can understand the level of investment which is going on in big data. And by 2015, right, you will have around 4 to 5 million professionals required when it comes to data. You just understand, Sai, as of now, veracity means uncertainty of data. Now, for example, you have huge amount of data, right? In huge amount of data, when you will go and fetch data, probably existing systems may not be able to give you consistent output, right? You need some approach of doing proper analytics in order to derive maximum value from your existing data mine. Okay? Is that clear? Fine. So you will have huge number of requirements, or you say, I told you 4 to 5 million of professionals will be required by the end of 2015, and they are not there in market. Each company is investing huge, whether you talk about IBM, Microsoft, SAP, Dell, EMC, Amazon. You think about any company, their focus is now on big data and cloud. Okay? We are going to work on cloud also. So that's going to be extra add-on to your profile. Right? So if you see operational big data and analytical big data, this is what I told you already. Operational big data provides operational capabilities for real-time interactive workload. For example, you have real-time analytics requirement, stock exchange, daily or minute by minute changes are going on, and you want to do analytics on the data which is there. With the changed data also keeping into consideration. So there you will be using MongoDB, Cassandra, and all. Now comes analytical big data. Analytical big data provides you capability of doing complex analysis, but please understand one thing: nature of data is static. Once you wrote that data, again write operation will not be very frequent, right? So this is how you will be doing. Fine. Let me come to brief definition of Hadoop. What is this Hadoop? Hadoop is analytical big data framework, which is written in Java. So you can say similar to other frameworks which are there, like you have structs, you have various other frameworks in Java. Hadoop is also a simple framework. An objective of this framework is to provide you capability of handling big data, right? Provide you capability of helping you in not only storing huge amount of data, but also providing you analytics on that particular big data, right? That is what is objective of Hadoop. Primary objective of Hadoop was to provide you scalability, right? When data grows, you should be able to scale up your existing cluster or architecture in order to ensure that Hadoop cluster or architecture is able to keep huge amount of data. And it offered you certain features which are very important when it comes to architectures. For example, if I talk about 100 machines in which you have spread the data, which is being managed by your Hadoop cluster, sometimes some nodes will be down, right? Some machines will be down. Now please understand, Hadoop provides you auto intelligence of auto recovery. So in case of something goes wrong, your Hadoop framework has certain algorithms and protocols which will go and try to bring up the boxes which are down, right? So you can say it detects and auto heals the problems, right? So if you see, it is designed keeping in mind objectives like scale up from single server to thousands of machines. Second, be a reliable cluster, right? So rely on hardware to deliver high availability. Library is going to provide you that capability, and it detects and handles failure at application layer, right? This is what is objective of Hadoop. So again, in order to redefine Hadoop, I'll tell you, Hadoop is a software, right, which is called as a framework. It's a framework built keeping in mind scalability to store huge amount of data, and also capability of providing more reliability by features which are auto detect and auto healing the failures which happens in your application layer. That is what was the primary objective of Hadoop, right? Now, contributors of Hadoop, if you ask me, big names like Google and Yahoo. Hadoop was written keeping in mind all research which went in Google and Yahoo in order to come up with huge amount of data, in order to come up with something which manages big data, right? So Google was already working on huge amount of data. Its data was growing day by day. So they came up with some algorithms. They came up with some file systems which were uniquely designed in order to actually store huge amount of data. So if you ask me what is motivation of Hadoop, motivation of Hadoop has come from Google and Yahoo, because they were there who were handling huge amount of data. And what was the contribution which was made by them? I'll tell you that. Your Google had done all research in order to manage huge data, right? And this was through a file system. This file system was called as GFS. And then Google provided, okay, now I have a very robust file system which has this auto healing capability. But what about analytics? I need someone who can go and who can get the data, collaborate it, execute it, summarize it, and give it to me. So they wrote something called as MapReduce. And this MapReduce is nothing but it is analytical engine. It is analytical engine. It means you will interact with this engine in order to execute your logic, whatever you want from data. Right? So Google was actually combination of these two. GFS, it's a file system which is robust, highly available, and MapReduce, which is an engine which helps you to do what? Analysis. Right? And from here, from this motivation, Google released white papers and Hadoop came up. Hadoop adopted GFS, but they called it as HDFS. Right? And Hadoop has what? MapReduce. And this actually makes up core Hadoop. Right? Which was contributed to Apache as open source. So Hadoop is an open source project which is made up of two core components. One is MapReduce and second one is HDFS. HDFS is the file system which takes responsibility of providing capability of spreading the data across multiple nodes and storing it. MapReduce engine comes with objective of helping you to follow a particular pattern of writing analytics and submitting it to MapReduce engine, which can go and execute that analytics over data which is spread across HDFS. Right? HDFS stands for Hadoop Distributed File System. Okay, fine. Now comes, till here it's clear, right? Any confusion? Victoria, any confusion? Stephen? Oh, great. Fine. Now let's talk about, now we are aware, okay, this file system is HDFS file system, right? So what architecture was adopted by Hadoop in order to help you in coming up with this distributed file system? You know, there can be many architectures, right? For example, Hadoop adopted master-slave architecture, where you will have one master and rest of them will be slaves. Now, if you ask me, okay, tell me what all other architectures are there. Second one is peer-to-peer architecture, which is not adopted by Hadoop. It is adopted by Cassandra, right? What is basic difference between master-slave architecture and peer-to-peer architecture? Right? Very simple difference. Master-slave, you will have one node which is treated as master, right? And rest of them will be slaves. In case of Hadoop, master manages all client and admin requests, and it maintains metadata. Metadata is what? Information about the data, right? And master in case of Hadoop is termed as name node. This is what you need to remember. Slaves in case of Hadoop stores data. I mean to say that master will not actually store data. But yes, what data is stored on what slave, that particular information will be there on your master, which is name. Right? So whenever client needs some data, they will connect to master and they'll ask, I want to read this data. Master will revert back, okay, your data is spread on this slave 1, slave 2, slave 3, slave 4. Once this information goes to client, client will connect to those slaves and they will get the data. That is what is the responsibility of master. Slave's responsibility is to store data, and in Hadoop they are called as data node. Now if I ask you, what is HDFS? When I say HDFS, HDFS is combination of two things. HDFS is combination of what? Name node and data node. Where what is responsibility of name node? Responsibility is to manage all the client and admin requests, right? And it does it by maintaining metadata, right? And then you have slaves. They are responsible for storing the data. Is that clear? Okay. Now what is problem with this architecture? Problem is single point of failure. In case if master is down, your entire, cluster becomes unresponsive. So downtime is predicted, right? But don't worry, in Hadoop 2.0 that was taken care, right? So if master goes down, your cluster is not available Hadoop 1.x never supported standby master, so that in case if one master is down, other is up. That is what is supported by Hadoop 2.0. It means problem with Hadoop 1.0 was single point of failure, which was resolved in Hadoop 2.0. Okay, so if someone is asking you what are the important components of HDFS, you'll be able to tell, right? At least this is what can be taken away from the session. Okay, fine. Right. So now we are at a point where we can see actual architecture of Hadoop. Now if you see, these are the two versions. One is Hadoop 1.0 and second is Hadoop 2.0. I told you one of the benefits of Hadoop 2.0. If someone is asking why I should migrate to Hadoop 2.0, I feel that you are aware about at least one reason. And that reason is Hadoop 2.0 has eliminated problem of single point of failure by providing you capability of having two masters where one can be active and other can be standby. As soon as active goes down, standby will take over. Now how this transition happens, that all I will tell you when we move further and when we start setting up our architectures, our clusters, right? There I'll tell you how actually it is done. Internally what happens, how message is passed, who takes responsibility of bringing up or having transition of standby to active, right? All that will be part of the coverage, right? Fine. So if you see Hadoop 2 contains two components, Hadoop 1 contains two components. I told you HDFS and MapReduce. HDFS is combination of two, name node and data node. Now comes MapReduce. Responsibility of MapReduce is data processing, but in case of 1.0, it was also taking care of cluster management, right? And that is what was changed in Hadoop 2.0. Instead of doing two tasks, MapReduce was asked to do only one task. An entire cluster resource management was done by another component called as YARN, Y-A-R-N, right? So please understand one thing. When you go and set up architecture, you have to decide whether I'll go with 1.0 architecture or I'll go with 2.0 architecture, right? So when you will set up, when you will configure your Hadoop, you will configure Hadoop to be 1.0 or to be 2.0, right? Now one question that is frequently asked, what if I have written all my analytics keeping in mind MapReduce of 1.0 and I want to have transition now from 1.0 to 2.0? You need not worry because Hadoop 2.0 supports all the previous versions, right? So you need to just ensure that those analytical code that you have written is deployed on Hadoop 2.0. Is that clear? Okay, fine. Now this is a demo session, so I'll try to make it a bit short. Now problem with Hadoop 1.0, I told you, single point of failure, right? And which was reduced. Another problem with 1.0 is MapReduce engine was not extensive. Means you had only one way of writing analytics, and that is convert all your use cases into MapReduce algorithm, where it says split it into mapper and reducer. But don't you feel that it is restriction to developers? How all problems can be translated only into map and reduce, right? So innovation is part of it. As a result of which, various companies started coming up with their own analytics and they were adopted as a standard. This is the reason why YARN came into picture. We said, okay, fine, not only MapReduce, I'll be able to understand analytics of any type. You'll know more on this once we move further, right? Okay. Now let's talk about installation planning because I need to lead to something. You are aware, okay, you are aware about, Kundan, you can speak to Daniel on that. I'll just finish it off. I'll not take much time now, and then I'll take up your questions, right? Now, you have to plan installation. When I say installation planning, it is basically you have to plan how I have to set my Hadoop cluster, right? Or big data cluster, right? Very simple. You have to identify what all machines are there, nodes are there, right? So identify from existing commodity hardware. Now please understand, when I say commodity hardware, it means it's not at all sophisticated system. It can be a system which is there in your company. You need not go and buy sophisticated hardware and sophisticated software, right? Whatever commodity, normal, simple boxes are there, they can be made part of your Hadoop cluster. That's what is beauty of Hadoop, where you can control the cost a lot. Okay, but you need to definitely do planning. How many data nodes I need? What should be the capacity of each and every data node? And that heavily depends on what? Your planning of Hadoop, right? Your planning of capacity, right? So as I told you, you have to first plan volume, you need to predict variety, you need to predict velocity. That will give you input that how many data nodes with what all capacity I need, right? So do that. Make one node as name node, right? Which stores metadata. If you see storage is not required to store huge amount, what is the basic reason? Because it will just store metadata. No data will be stored on name node. But processing power must be good, because at same point of time you may have multiple clients who will send their request to name node. So compute power should be more as compared to storage power in your name nodes. Okay? But in case of data node, it is reverse, right? It has to have good compute as well as good storage. That all I will be discussing. Second is, when we talk about installation, I have identified that I need to go with Hadoop. But on what operating system? Linux is preferred. Because if you go with Cloudera or different flavors of Hadoop, you'll find that they all are using Linux or any other flavor of Linux. Microsoft was not having its own Hadoop. So they went into partnership with Hortonworks, and Hortonworks actually created Hadoop for Microsoft. This is what you need to understand. So plan. I will provide you a planning guide as well as a planning matrix, right, where you will be able to plan the entire architecture, right? You will be finding a document where questions will be there, which an architect need to answer in order to actually derive the architecture, right? So this is how we bring you very close to industry. Now then you go and select installation type. If you see, there are various installation types. One is single node, means everything on the same box. Data node, name node, everything will be there on the same box. Second one is pseudo cluster mode, right? Where box will be same, but processes will be different, right? Here, single node means all processes will run on a single port. Preferred for development, if someone wants to test their analysis. But if someone wants to test their cluster, right, and they have to do some POC on a single box, they can do that by having data node, name node running on the same box but as different processes on different ports. Actual one which is there in production is fully clustered, where you have multiple machines, right, distributed across network. Right. There are other questions as well which we can ask. What is the network? How many racks are there? What is rack? How to identify or categorize rack topology? Right. What is benefit of rack? All that is there that I will discuss once we move further. Right. When you install, you have identified the master now and you have identified the slave. What you need to do? Install Java on all boxes. Right. Second, must have Hadoop distribution downloaded. Third, configure this to behave as name node. Configure this to behave as data node. Then when it comes to MapReduce is combination of job tracker and task tracker. As of now, just remember, because anyhow we are going to discuss on it once we start off with our session, right? Configure job tracker. So job tracker typically will be there on the same box where your name node is there. And task tracker will be there on data node. Responsibility of job tracker is whenever you submit some job to be executed, it will split it into n number of tasks and it will delegate it to the task trackers which are there on the data nodes, and they will execute the task, right? So it makes execution faster, because instead of getting data using one single process, you are able to run multiple processes at the same time and you are able to collect the data, right? So definitely it will be faster, right? Is that clear? Victoria, is that clear? Danny, Sam, Stephen, is that clear? Okay, good. So this is what you need to do. Now, one of the confusions which is there, where we go and help you out, from where I will get Hadoop, right? you have various companies which are there today working to come up with their own distributions of Hadoop. In market, you have many. Like one is Cloudera. You know, father of Hadoop sits at Cloudera. So this is the reason why Cloudera is very popular. Then you have Hortonworks. Hortonworks was created by a group of smart developers who were working on Hadoop project in Yahoo. They came out and they built this now. They're actually Hortonworks. Then EMC has its own called as Pivotal HD. Right? So you can say that each company now is building their own big data stack. One thing which is not changing is all of them internally uses Apache Hadoop. So if you are writing analytics, keeping in mind Apache Hadoop, they will execute on all three. Because Cloudera just is a distribution center, you can say, of Apache Hadoop. Plus, they provide certain other tools which can simplify administrative and development tasks, right? But Apache Hadoop is common across different distributions, right? So you have to decide which distribution you have to go and adopt, right? Is that clear? So Hortonworks came up with something called as HDP, right? Hortonworks Hadoop distribution. Cloudera came up with CDH, Cloudera Hadoop distribution. Pivotal came up with Pivotal HD. It is also called as PHD, Pivotal Hadoop distribution, right? So there are different flavors of Hadoop. Is that clear? Fine. So let's see how we will make this available, right? You need not worry. What I need to do, or what I'll show you now here is I have created one instance here. I feel now I created which one? Yeah, I created this one. This is my Linux box. You need not worry about setting up the environment of lab and all that. We will take up how to do it either on your system or giving you access to our cloud. I'll select this. I typically want to move into a Linux box. So that can be done by either using SSH or by using PuTTY. You need not worry because we are there to guide you, and I will ensure that all hands-on you are able to do on your system also. I'll just go and paste it here and see if this key is there here. Now it is trying to connect to that box. And now I'm there on this box. I'll just do clear screen. Now, prerequisite for this is you need to know a bit of Linux. Even if you are not aware, we do provide one exclusive session on how to handle Linux, right? So you need not worry about this also, right? We'll move forward. Now our objective is to install. One thing that you need to understand here is there are different flavors of, you say, Linux. One is Ubuntu, second is Red Hat, right? You have many. And then you have CentOS, right? One sad thing here is installation is different on different operating systems, right? Positive which is there here is you need not worry because I'll be showing you how to do it on at least two prominent operating systems, right? So because we have to make people multi-flavored, people who can work on various flavors, right? Now Ubuntu comes with a tool called as apt-get. If you see, I'm writing here apt-get. Now, using this apt-get, you can do installation. If you see, installation of new packages, right? We are going to use CDH, that is Cloudera. Cloudera takes responsibility of distributing you apt-get repository so that you can use apt-get in order to install it, right? So if Cloudera wants that, okay, fine, I'll provide flavor which can be installed, or I'll write my packages which can be used in order to install Hadoop on Ubuntu, right? So you will find support from your, you say, a vendor whose distribution you are using that will help you out in order to actually go and do the installation, right? So let's see. I told you that we have certain distributions. I move more details once we move further. As of now, I just wanted to show you that how actually training will move on and how we'll make you do things, right? Okay, so I'll go here. Task 1, install Java, because Hadoop is written in Java. So without Java, it will not run. how to install Java. In order to do any installation, it is suggested that you do it as root user, right? And for that, you can use sudo, super user, right? So you have changed the user, or you can say you are saying that please execute this command as an administrator. It is similar to right-click run as administrator in case of Windows. Okay, sudo apt-get. Before going and installing, sometimes what happens, you may get a box where Java is installed. So check whether Java is there or not. You see, Java is not there. I'll go and I'll check again this. Java is not there. It means my current box does not have Java. I need to go and install. Similar to any other software, Java will also have some repository which need to be loaded here in your Ubuntu first. Okay? And we do understand that it is difficult to remember addresses and all. This is the reason why keep all the commands ready for you so that you can go and check it out. You can see our blogs also, we do that. Repository you are adding by using sudo apt-get, and here you have Java. Now what this will do, this will ensure that it brings full sense, all versions of Java, Java 7, 8. Now you have repository added, you see. Repository is added and it contains what? A Java, Oracle 7, Oracle 8, right? Now you have to go and you have to ensure that from those URLs which are added, we are able to pull installer of Java. Yes, Sai, it is pulling from a web. We don't have it in local box. Okay. Now what we need to do? I'll just go and write sudo apt-get update because I want to refresh my existing repository. It's like applying patch in your Windows. That's what we are doing. It takes some time, so just give me 10-15 more minutes, I'll be done. Okay. Fine. Now we have repository here. Next, I have to go and I have to install. Right? How to install, you see. For installation, now since you have added the repository, you can go and you can install it by using this command. Again, sudo apt-get install Oracle Java 7. Yes. Okay. Yes. There are many others. Is Cloudera Apache? Yes, it's the same thing. That's what I told you. Cloudera is the company. They have not changed Apache Hadoop. But here, when you go to a company, they will be either using Cloudera distribution or they will be using HDP. Right? There's a reason why we take up these distributions. We can install Apache Hadoop also. That's not a problem. Now, if you go and write Java C, it's working. Java, this is also working. It means Java is installed now. In order to confirm, just go and see the version. It gives you here also see the version, and always ensure that this version of compiler and interpreter is similar so that you will not move into problem further. Is that clear? Okay, fine. Now next. What about now Cloudera? I need to have Hadoop library on my box. Don't worry. Just go and create a file where you can add the URL of your Cloudera. That's what we will do. Okay. I am skipping up some of the details which I wanted to share because time is not there, and I'll be showing this again to you when we start up with our first session. As of now, just to give a feel how actually training will be and how labs we will be doing. I'm doing this. So I'm creating a file called as cloudera.list, and where I'm creating it in apt, right? Why I'm creating it? So that I can permanently write the URL there, right? Let's go and insert, and in this you have to enter these lines very carefully. You have to enter. Not even one spelling mistake is permitted. I'll come here. I'll paste it here. Best part is whatever session we are doing now, it is getting recorded. So this entire step you will be aware.
I'm saving. It is saved now. Now again what I'll do, I have to pull, right, Cloudera from here. It's VI editor, Stephen, absolutely right. You can use VIM or any other editor also. Okay. I'll just go and do again same task. Sudo apt get update. And now this will try to pull. And when it tries to pull, you'll find an error. And why that error, I'll tell you. Are you able to see this? GPG error. Why? Because Cloudera rejected. You have to give me the key. Then only I will let you know whether current download that you are doing is the right one or not. Otherwise, what happens? I can tomorrow write the package name with the same name and I can upload it on net, right? In order to avoid that, Cloudera distributes a key that if you want to be 100% sure that you are using Cloudera distribution, please go and add this key. I'll just paste it here. Key is added. Now I'll do the same thing. Sudo apt get update. And this time you will not find the error. Why? Because your current download will be verified by Cloudera. See? It's done, right? Any confusion? Okay. What next? Next is to go and install, right? And you see, I will just do a simple install. Sudo apt get install Hadoop, and it installs Hadoop on your system. It is not yet configured, please understand. It just installs. Okay, it makes product files available. Now what I can do is, I'll just go and verify. I'll write Hadoop version. And this tells me that I am using Hadoop 2.5.0, which is a CDH 5.3.2 distribution. Once this is done, next task is to do configuration, which we will do in etc Hadoop. I'll do ls, and you see conf is there. I'll move to one of the confs dot empty. It means current configuration is empty. If I do ls, I get n number of XML files. And these are the files which we have to configure. In order to configure our file system, we'll be using hdfs site.xml. In order to configure our MapReduce, we'll go with MapRed site.xml. To configure yarn processes, we'll go to yarn. Right? In order to configure security, we will go to Hadoop policy. Right? So these are few things that we need to remember. Which one? It will not ask for version 1 or 2. You can configure now this to be version 1 or 2 by you say ensuring that you are not using yarn site.xml. So if you want to use Hadoop 1.0 style, that is MapReduce version 1, don't go and use yarn site.xml. Just configure whatever is required for MapReduce. That is job tracker and task tracker. Okay. But if you want to use yarn, then you have to specify, I don't want to use MapReduce conventional. I want to use MapReduce version 2. Right? So that how to do that I will tell you once we move to configurations. Any confusion till here? Right. Now there are various different types of installations that you can do in Cloudera. One is manual, second is automated. We have done here manual. We have to go and configure all this manually. If you want to do auto install, you can do that as well, and we cover that as well, and that is what is called as installation using Cloudera Manager. Okay. Same thing I will be discussing about Hortonworks also with you, how to do installation of HTTP manual and also auto install by using Ambari. So at end of the session or training, you will be aware about two different flavors of Hadoop, along with complete configuration, monitoring, performance, analytics, setting up the ecosystem like Hive, Pig, and Scoop, Flume, right? And then moving to NoSQL, understanding relevance of NoSQL, doing installation of Cassandra, MongoDB, right? And then applying SOLR in order to enhance search and indexing capability of your Hadoop. This is what is going to be part of this training. If you have any confusion, you can ask me. Okay. Otherwise, in first session's objective is always to do installation, configuration, run the cluster, verify that cluster is running, configure MapReduce, configure yarn, tell the difference, show the difference in processes, and then complete the session. That is what is our next session which we are going to take up. Right? Fine. So, Daniel, are you there?
Yep.
Yeah, so you can take over from here. Yes, it will take around 40 hours plus some 5, 6 or 10 hours of project which you have to do. Apart from that, you need to go for a test also, right? And that will help you to understand where your weakness is, and then we take up some corrective steps also in order to ensure that whatever you have not understood, we will.
So that you attended the session. Are you having problem with the audio?
Daniel, lots of noise is there at your end.
Okay. So yes.
Yeah. Okay. Are you still getting background?
Yeah, Anthony. Now it's clear. So I'm done with the demo session. You can take over from here. Okay.
Okay, fine. Guys, I'm Anthony here. I wanted to quickly show you our test application. This is something which we have pioneered in the training industry, and I wanted to help each and every one of you understand how it will help you validate what you have learned over the course of your training. Now I'm going to quickly show you our test application. This will just take me a few minutes of your time. I'm just gonna log out of my screen very quickly. Okay, so you can see my screen, right? Sai, Steven, Danny. Oh, okay, all right, fantastic. Okay, so this is our in-house test application, which we have pioneered to ensure each and every candidate are able to validate what they have learned over the course of the training. Okay. Now, whenever you approach some training or whenever you're taking some training, be it from a training industry or from within your organization, how are you able to validate your training? What you have learned in the training, right? You must have come across lots of questions. How do you validate what you have learned in the training, right? So to tackle this challenge, what we have done is we have pioneered this test application, which will ensure you are able to validate whatever topics you have learned, and at the same time, gauge your understanding of what you have learned from the training. Okay, now this test will happen weekly and sometimes bi-weekly, covering all the topics that you have gone through in our training. And over the course of your, the course of your result, you will be able to, validate yourself and understand how far you have understood and how far you have received the training. Okay, and in case there are, you are not getting good scores, you are scoring, towards the negative side of, 50–60%. That will basically mean that you're not being receptive of the training, and there are certain work which needs to be done with those particular topics, right? So that's the whole agenda of incorporating this test application into our training system. Now this test application is something that we have pioneered and which you will not come across anywhere in any other training institute. Okay, now let me quickly show you how the test application works. Now, each one of you will be assigned a user ID and password. I have a demo, login ID and password with me that I'm going to use to access this application. I'm just gonna key in the password. Then I log in. This is a demo test application, which is why you are not able to see certain options which covers Java, Hadoop, WebLogic, JBoss, and other modules that we provide with our training products. Okay, since this is a demo test application, we only have one module at this point of time, and this is basically what is being taught over the course of this demo now. Okay, so the questions will look like this. There will be multiple choice answers, and there will be a time limit for every test that you undertake, and there will be this many number of questions. Here, for example, on my screen, you are able to see about 40 questions, right? Now, say for example, you're taking the test, and if you are consistently scoring over 90%, that would actually mean that you are doing quite well in the training. You are fantastically receiving the training, and you are able to validate what you have learned and incorporate that, and it will also mean that your deployability towards the end of the training is very high. Okay, now the questions which are being fed into our test application are on par with certification and job interviews. Okay, now the other important, or rather the other takeaway out of this test would be confidence to take certification immediately after you complete the training. If you consistently score 90% and above, you are sure to clear certification from commercial vendors like Hortonworks or Cloudera on your very first attempt. And you should be able to tackle any job interview if you're consistently scoring 90% and above. Now, say for example, on certain topics you are not scoring so well, when we receive the scorecard, it will show all the topics that you have attempted, all the questions that you have attempted, and we will be able to observe where you are falling behind. And that is exactly where the trainer will come into the picture again, will help you improve on those topics. Okay, now this test application, like we mentioned earlier, helps validate your performance in the training, and not only that, it helps gauge, or rather bridge, the topics where you are falling behind. And sometimes when you're not able to understand certain topics the way the trainer interpreted, we will be able to work on it. Now it helps us to monitor your performance, your understanding or your reception of the training, and at the same time it helps do the same from your end as well. Okay, so this was our innovative test application, which we have incorporated for quite a few batches now, and it has turned out to be quite successful. The number of people who are able to clear certification exams after they have successfully scored 90 and plus have been around, I would say, about 70 to 80%. Okay, so this test application, along with our classroom and the materials that you will get and the live project that you will get from the training, will help you ensure you are deployable after you complete the training, and ensure you are a well-rounded profile by the time you get out of the classroom. Okay, any questions for me about this? Or any question at all about what we have done so far in the demo? Danny, Kundan, Sai, Sashank. Okay. Okay. All right. Fantastic. So I believe Daniel has covered placement as well, did he? Okay, all right. So let me quickly talk to you about placement. We, in collaboration with our sister concerns are mainly, consulting partners in the United States. We provide placement as well. Placement is rather, a trigger of, a trigger or a follow through of, our training products. Okay. Placement is always, provided for any trainee who wants to, get placed through us, or who needs a job in Big Data or Hadoop, or who wants to transition into Hadoop. We also provide immigration solution apart from placement. So these are certain, solutions that we have incorporated together with our training. Okay, so I'll keep this channel open for the next 5 minutes. If you have any questions for me at all about the training, about the duration, about placement, about this test application, about the tools that we use, I can have those questions answered before we close the demo. Okay, any questions for me at all? Victoria, Stephen, Shashank, Sai, Kundan, Danny? Yes, no, maybe. No question. Okay. Yep, we can definitely do that. Okay, you can expect a call from us tomorrow. I believe Daniel has, asked for all your numbers. Okay, Kundan has just provided your phone number. Thank you very much, Kundan. We will talk to you all tomorrow. Thanks a lot for taking the time to attend our demo. I hope you have been able to get informative, interaction about big data and what's happening in in the world of big data. Okay. Thank you very much, Victoria. All right. Good night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.